So going back to the business, right? So say we've just started, we've got very little credibility. We know what to do, but it's difficult to show anyone how we've done it.
Yeah.
How do we look around the pricing structure?
So you already mentioned there about so we just did some basic maths and we went, you want to get to 100K, it's a 5K offer.
Yeah.
So we just test that theory basically. Pricing, I think a lot of people kind of intellectualize it and get very up in their head, but actually like a majority of buying decisions are made with the heart on emotions. So, and one thing really important thing which I've missed out saying is that, again, probably in your business, the first 10 clients that you worked with came out of that sort of closer sort of networking.
Yeah, sure.
Some people that you knew, it's a mixture of some people that you knew, you then got some credibility, you were doing the cold outreach, but you got the case studies and testimonials from those first few warm clients. Now we can then transport some of that across into your colder audiences. And then you can start to kind of grow it from there. The pricing side of things though, once we've, I always say to people, well, let's test this, okay? So again, you're going to have to go back into that mindset of being a startup.
Naive startup founder.
Yeah. What is the potential upside to one of your clients through working with you?
50K increase in top line over the first year.
Over the first year.
Yeah.
And what's your best case that you've had with a client?
$500,000 over the first year.
Okay. So for that client who's done 500K, all of a sudden 5K feels cheap.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the first thing, and you didn't even hesitate with that, but probably just because you're already 3 years down the line and you've got a bit more experience. Okay. The next thing is we do kind of, I would future pace the client. So I'd probably say something along the lines, okay, so if 5K is kind of cheap. Let's fast forward 3 years, and can you see yourself in the future working with those clients where you can give them $500,000 uplift, or maybe more, but maybe charging them 25K?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a bit of hesitation, but you looked into the future and you said, yeah, okay. So let me break this down a bit. So most people, when they have the pricing discussion, they see it as very binary. So yes or no, it's I'm in or I'm out, it's too cheap or it's too expensive, right? But what we've established there is actually today 5K possibly on the cheap side, but we've got 20,000 numbers in the middle, which is a bandwidth of where we could settle on a price that you might be able to just step outside your confidence and charge. Okay. So again, I want you to go back into that mindset of the naive sort of you 3 years ago. Your coach has just told you 5K is possibly too cheap. You could potentially charge 25K. You've got to pitch this afternoon to a client. Okay. And you've got to raise the game a little bit. Okay. This may not work because you have got some experience. Okay. But I'll get back. Try and tune into gut instinct. Try not to, you don't have to speak necessarily, but just when we hit a natural limit, we should probably know. So I'm going to say some numbers, okay?
So I'm at 5. I've sold for 5 before.
So sold for 5. We know we've got to raise the price, okay? So start with like 6K, 7.5K, 9K.
Maybe 7.5, yeah.
We're already there, so very quickly.
I couldn't get to 10 because there's no way I'd double it in that first 2 or 3 months of business.
Okay, but what we did do is intellectually you were selling it for 5.
Yeah.
And in the binary sort of thinking of right, this is a dead cert. Everybody's going to say yes at 5 because the goal is to sell as many clients as we possibly can do. No, it's not actually. It's to build a sustainable, profitable business. But we can come back to that. But already we went from 7.5 was just inside, 9K was just outside.
Yeah.
So I'd probably say, depending on how you like playing, if you're happy to play a little bit outside your comfort zone,
yeah, definitely.
I would then challenge you to pitch the next 10 people at 9K.
Really?
Right. So we've already upped your prices by 80%.
Yeah.
Just by getting you out of here and into here by going, I'm too cheap. And what we do is, because again, a lot of people, I go and pitch the first person, get a no, and they crap themselves, and then they're like, oh God, every client's going to say no at 9K. But actually, like, the reason I always say you've got to pitch minimum of 10 people is because clients are like buses, right? Remember, we've got that 1 in 5 conversion rate. So we're looking for 2 yeses out of the 10 prospects. I can guarantee it's like client 9 and 10 who says yes.
Oh, really?
So you've got to get through all of that rejection, unless by a bit of luck and happen chance, like the first person says yes, in which case we're already there. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get that 2 in 10. So remember, 2 sales a week, 10 warm leads coming through. We're trying to get to that point where we're getting that 1 in 5 conversion rate.
Yeah.
And what I've had in the past is clients who've gone, yep, Rob, Well, in fact, I do a bet at this point normally when I do this challenge, okay? So were this a real life scenario, I'd actually say at this point, right, would you agree you're going to pitch the next 10 people? Okay, if you can document the process of pitching those 10 people, i.e. you record those sales calls, the consultations, if you get to 5 and you haven't sold any yet at 9K, let me know, I'll give you a free sales training.
Oh, cool.
So I actually make this bet with people.
Yeah.
I do with all my clients, definitely. If we get to 10 and you still haven't sold, I'll be your first customer for this.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm that confident in the process. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking about raising your prices, go through that sort of pricing auction, pick a number that's a little outside your comfort zone, pitch 10 people. I can guarantee you'll sell at least 1, if not 2.
Wow.
And they do it because they're going to win. If they get to 10 and 0, they're going to get me as a client.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow. Okay, so I've got a question for you.
Sure.
What about, so we learn, as you go through business, you learn a little bit about price anchoring. So you've got the one price of maybe 5K, and then you're told, okay, if you put one, so you want to sell the 5K one, put one a little bit lower,
Yep.
that you might not want to sell as much of, and put one really high, which sort of anchors the low one. So for example, with ours, say the top one is 30K and you get the best coaches, you get access to me, you get meetups, whatever. You've got the 10K one, which is the signature one, and you've got the 5K, which is the basic sort of DIY stuff. Firstly, what's your opinion on that as a strategy? And secondly, what about if the sales team then don't really understand which one to go for, and they are taking so long to qualify someone coming in, that person becomes confused, and we know that someone who is confused doesn't buy.
Yeah.
Because they're not sure, is this a 20K or 30K or is this a 5? Do you know what I mean? It sort of gets a bit complicated. How do you manage that?
What criteria are they choosing which package is right for the client on?
Exactly. I don't think people do. I don't think they are. I think they're just going, is this person advertently giving me a price objection? If so, let's come down.
So that's unethical. Because which of those 3 products gives the client the best results?
The most expensive one. Most expensive
one. So I'd almost argue you kind of want to take the other 2 off the table. So if you've got a qualified client in front of you who has, in terms of those 3 criteria, do I love working with them? Can I get them great results? Do they have the budget? If what they need to get those great results is that top package, it's unethical to sell them the other 2.
Okay, so what about do they already know about them though? Do they know there's 3 offers?
They might know about them. That, you know, it could be in your marketing where you've got a web page which outlines the 3 packages, for example. Yeah. But when it comes to the actual sales pitch, so where you've done that pre-qualification, maybe you've got an assessment or application form. Yeah. Now you're on the consultation and you've gone through all of the fact find, feel find, and you really got to know the client and what their objectives are from working with you. If ultimately it comes down to like the platinum product which they need, you only position the one product.
And if they say, I want the bronze package,
you can say which bit of the result don't you want?
Okay.
Right. So because if we're doing that, we're doing it just for the money. And is that really an ethical thing to do? Is it a morally just thing to do? I genuinely believe no. And I would, you know, if they're recommending the 25K package, for example, because this is a 7-figure business where, for the key person of influence who's at the top of the, you know, who wants to get on these podcasts and have the training, get some results from it, and you know it's going to be a $500,000 uplift. Yeah. Well, if the other 2 products aren't going to get them that result, you shouldn't sell it to them. Even if they say we want the cheaper one, you'd say, well, actually, we're not prepared to sell you that because this is the one that's going to get you the best result.
That's a really interesting take. Oh, I really like that. Okay, so if we're trying to build this business on easy mode from the start, we've got the offer, we've done the pricing. What's the next step that someone listening to this who's thinking about starting or scaling their small business, what's the next thing they should be thinking of?
Really good question. So once you've kind of got systems and processes in place, you're starting to work with, so I always say, like, get really good at doing one thing really well for one specific type of client. So let's imagine those first 10 clients, very similar, go through your process, you've got great results, very consistent, they're all saying, you know, glowing things about you. First thing I'd recommend is get social proof. So case studies, reviews, and testimonials. So have professionally written up case studies where you get a third-party copywriter to interview you and your experience of working with the client, and you interview the client and get their experience of working with you, smush the stories together. You only need like one of those, like a quarter. So it might be an expensive asset, but it's a really great story then that you can share with prospects. Better still if you can capture a video testimonial, because then that's, I always pitch this as like, imagine if I'm sat here going, I'm amazing, look at me, I get great results. You'll think I'm a bit of a knob, right? Yeah. Whereas, if Freddie's here and Freddie's saying, actually, guys, you should speak to Robin because I've seen him work with his clients. He's incredible as a coach, and he's, the results he gets. I saw somebody last week who doubled their revenue. Like that, immediately that gives the trust and credibility because it's coming from a third person. Yeah. So with video testimonials, if you capture a video testimonial with a client saying glowing things about you, it's that third person sort of, the trust is immediately there and credibility. So I gather those. Beyond that, then we can start to look at scaling, and we're kind of back to that. Okay, so we do need more clients, we do need some more leads. How do we build an audience? But I've discovered over the last 2 years, and I don't know if this is probably, we'll see where we go with this, because you might say, well, maybe this is another podcast like episode altogether. But up to the end of 2022, I was just so fed up with doing short and long form content, social media, posting like on LinkedIn, doing an email newsletter once a week, like doing all of the stuff that all these marketing gurus and experts tell you to do. Yeah. I'd done it all, and I was a bit burnt out. I was probably spending like 20, 30 plus hours a week just doing all of like the marketing activities in my little coaching practice. And I'd even hired somebody for a year before that as well, just to run my videos and socials like before it. So I spent 20, like bless her, she was lovely, did really reliable, did loads of stuff. But when we tracked back the results from all of that activity she'd done, we got 0 clients from it.
Oh, wow.
Literally 0. Great for my personal brand, but we literally couldn't take any of that activity and assign it to a client that had come through. It came from other things that I was already doing, my books, speaking and podcasting. And again, that marketing mix clearly works for me. So 2022 rolls around and I'm done and burnt out, spent all this money on it. And I literally became antisocial. I was like, I'm done with social media. But of course, then I'm like, I still need to get clients. What do I do? And this is where I came up with that question, which I asked you earlier on. It's like, well, Rob, if you need 1,000 leads, like, where do you turn to for that? Because if you've got 1,000 people in an email list or in your world, it's actually pretty easy to turn them into clients over time if you're patient. Yeah. So a good friend of mine, a mutual friend of ours, actually, Simon Alexander-Ong, who's brilliant on partnerships. I noticed in the latter part of 20, he kept on showing up with like a picture of him and Simon Sinek, or a picture of him with Ali Abdaal, or a picture of him with Steve Bartlett, all these really influential people. And so I went to him and I said, look, Simon, you're doing really great things. Like, can you teach me, like, show me how to do this? And he probably didn't realize this at the time, but he said something really annoying. He's like, Robin, just watch what I do. Oh, and I was like, and you just want like the step-by-step process, but actually it turned out to be far more beneficial than that.